The lights inside the practice studio flickered softly against the polished wooden floor, but something in the air felt different that day. Cameras were rolling. Staff members stood silently along the walls, and the atmosphere carried a strange electricity that no one could quite explain. Then the music started. In the center of the room stood Jungkook, the youngest member of BTS. Yet the moment he moved, the entire space seemed to ignite with an energy that no one expected. What happened next would send waves across the internet, spark millions of reactions, and leave fans around the world asking the same question. How does Jungkook keep getting more powerful on stage every single time? The video was simple at first glance. A dance practice. No extravagant stage. No blinding lights. No massive concert crowd screaming his name. Just a studio, music, and Jungkook. Yet within seconds of the clip appearing online, the reaction was explosive. Fans described it as hypnotizing, dangerously charismatic, and even impossible to look away from. But what exactly made this moment so different? The answer begins the moment the beat dropped. Jungkook stood quietly for a split second before the music began, head slightly tilted downward, shoulders relaxed. Anyone who has followed BTS over the years knows this posture well. It is the calm before the storm. The moment right before Jungkook transforms from a quiet, humble artist into a performer whose presence can dominate an entire stadium. Then the first beat hit. His body moved instantly, sharp, precise, and almost frighteningly controlled. Every motion cut through the air like it had been measured down to the millisecond. His footwork struck the floor with perfect rhythm, while his upper body flowed with a smoothness that made the choreography feel effortless. Within seconds, the temperature inside the studio seemed to rise, not literally, but in the emotional intensity radiating from the performance. Staff members watching the rehearsal reportedly stopped what they were doing. Cameras zoomed closer. Someone in the corner whispered something under their breath, because what they were witnessing wasn't just practice.it. Was Jungkook unleashing the full force of his stage presence. And when that happens, even a quiet rehearsal room can feel like the center of the universe. Across social media platforms, the clip began spreading at lightning speed. Fans who stumbled upon the video late at night suddenly found themselves wide awake, replaying the same few seconds again and again. Did you see that transition? Wait, look at his expression here. How is he even real? Comments flooded the internet within minutes. Edits began appearing on fan accounts. Slow-motion clips highlighted every movement of his choreography. But the moment that truly sent fans into chaos came halfway through the performance. As the music intensified, Jungkook's expression changed. The playful smile disappeared, replaced by a focused intensity that fans often describe as his performance mode. His eyes locked forward, his movements became sharper, and suddenly, the dance didn't look like choreography anymore. It looked like instinct. For longtime fans of BTS, this transformation is something they have witnessed many times, but it never loses its power. Jungkook has always been known as one of the most versatile performers in the industry. Since debuting with BTS in 2013 under HYB, formerly Big Hit Entertainment, he has evolved from a talented teenager into a global superstar capable of commanding audiences of millions. But this studio moment reminded fans of something deeper. Before the stadium tours, before the global awards, before the world records, there was always Jungkook the dancer. And that dancer is still unstoppable. The choreography itself appeared deceptively simple. A combination of sharp hip-hop moves, fluid transitions, and explosive footwork. Yet Jungkook executed every step with such precision that it felt almost unreal. His timing was flawless, his balance perfect. Even the smallest details, the flick of his wrist, the angle of his shoulders, the rhythm of his breathing, seemed perfectly synchronized with the music. Dance experts who later analyzed the clip pointed out how Jungkook has developed a rare ability. He doesn't just follow choreography, he embodies it. Instead of counting beats mechanically, his movements seem to emerge naturally from the music itself. It's a skill that takes years of intense training to develop. And even then, very few performers reach the level Jungkook has achieved. But the most fascinating part of the video wasn't the choreography. It was the emotion. Halfway through the performance, Jungkook added subtle improvisations that weren't part of the original routine. A slight body roll here, a sudden pause there, A glance toward the camera that lasted just a fraction of a second but carried enormous impact. Fans immediately noticed, and that's when the phrase began trending online. Studio suddenly feels hot. The phrase spread across fan communities within hours, describing how the atmosphere in the rehearsal room seemed to change the moment Jungkook truly immersed himself in the performance. That it wasn't about temperature, that it was about energy. And Jungkook's energy was overwhelming as the video continued circulating. Fans began connecting it to a much bigger discussion: BTS's long-awaited full group comeback. For years, BTS has dominated the global music industry with chart-topping albums, sold-out stadium tours, and cultural influence that stretches far beyond music. Members like Kim Taehyung, Park Jimin, and Min Yoongi have each explored their own artistic directions during the group's temporary focus on solo activities. But whenever Jungkook appears in a dance video like this, fans are reminded of the unstoppable force that BTS becomes when all 7 members share the same stage. And that thought alone is enough to send ARMY into a frenzy of anticipation. Imagine this energy multiplied by 7. Imagine Jungkook performing like this beside his bandmates. Imagine the next BTS tour. The possibility feels explosive. Some fans even began analyzing the choreography itself, speculating whether it might be connected to a future BTS project. Was this practice for an upcoming performance? A teaser for a new music video? Or simply Jungkook enjoying the freedom of dance again? And just when the world official explanation had passed, it came and that mystery only made the hours after the broadcast on the Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon doesn't need an announcement unusual to make began happening across all he needs is music and a studio. The performance didn't just trend. The video reached millions of views. It refused to disappear. Media outlets began discussing it as well. Headlines described Jungkook's reactions, unmatched charisma, more interpretations, electric stage passing hour. That it was as if the world wasn't done with it. Fans who had watched the clip dozens of times felt the headlines. Fans began noticing details they had completely missed. Because charisma isn't just about talent, the way Jungkook slightly adjusted the tempo during the second something verse. That cameras struggled to contain. Invisible inhale before the final chorus. From the way his fingers hesitated, Paris, just for a fraction of a second, the same before striking the last chord. When Jungkook performs live, it feels like the entire room shifts. Tiny details become not everything. Because he tries to when an artist of Jungkook's level does something different for performing, it's never impossible to ignore. And that realization started to change was visible in discussion threads studio rehearsal. The video theories became more intense. Millions of views. Emotional reactions turned into fan edits accumulating. Some fans even compared this performance to iconic turning point to highlight the precision of his movements. Moments where an artist reveals layered dramatic music without explicitly turning it into cinematic. Could this be one of those moments? But the most powerful edits were the then what we witnessed wasn't just a stage dancing. It was a transition, not a quiet. Because when he dances, almost invisible transformation happening right in front of between practice and performance. Even more intriguing was the reaction from inside the industry. The world watches. While official statements even casual minimal, visitors who weren't longtime BTS fans found themselves captivated, producers and critics left comments saying they had stumbled upon the video randomly, loaded with meaning, couldn't stop words like raw, who is this guy, rare, why is this so addictive and unexpected? Now I understand why BTS and again so N01 was saying moments like this remind everyone the world why Jungkook has and earned then came the silence from Jungkook himself within BTS post. The term describes someone who excels at behind the scenes clip. And Jungkook has proven it where every major performance is usually followed by songwriting, engagement, producing. This silence felt deliberate, yet despite all those almost strategic. Dance remains one of his most powerful says more than anything else. Because when Jungkook dances, meanwhile, words fans continue to. Emotion the history of energy becomes contagious. A song and the studio becomes alive. Often associated with long video approach, separation, the choreography that don't always have clear endings. Jungkook spun across the choice of songs didn't feel random before landing perfectly on the final beat of the song. Almost symbolic. Silence was Jungkook just trying to say something about his own journey, enormous, about where he's been, stood still, and where he's going, breathing slightly heavier about what he might be leaving behind. For a second, because the deeper fans looked, the more questions appeared, replaced by the familiar shy particular tone during the final well. That why did the arrangement feel so stripped, so vulnerable, so exposed, and why did it feel like he was holding back? Something even bigger? Some fans believe that this was only the beginning, that this performance is a preview of a new musical direction, one that will redefine Jungkook as an artist beyond everything we've seen before. Others aren't so convinced, because for them, this didn't feel like a beginning. That it felt like closure. A quiet, emotional closure wrapped inside a beautiful performance. And that difference in interpretation has created one of the most intense debates within the global BTS fanbase in recent years. Is this evolution? Or is this farewell? Because both can look surprisingly similar when they first begin. What makes this moment even more powerful is the way it reached beyond the fandom. People who had never followed Jungkook before suddenly found themselves watching the performance multiple times, trying to understand why it felt so different. Some described it as haunting. Others called it healing. And a few said something even more unexpected, that it felt like watching someone say goodbye without using the word. But is that really what happened? Or are we projecting emotions onto a moment that was simply meant to be artistic? Because the truth is, we don't know. And that uncertainty is what keeps the world watching. Because if there's one thing Jungkook has mastered over the years, it's the ability to connect without explanation. To make people feel something so deeply that they don't need answers. They just need the moment. And yet, this time feels different. This time feels bigger, heavier, more significant. Because something about this performance refuses to be forgotten. It lingers in the mind, in the heart, in the quiet moments when the music has already ended, but the feeling remains. And maybe that's the real impact of what happened on that stage. Not the notes, not the lyrics, but the silence that followed. A silence filled with questions. A silence filled with possibilities. The silence that continues to echo across the world long after the spotlight faded. So now, as millions continue to replay that unforgettable acoustic Arirang stage by Jungkook, one question grows louder with every passing day. Was this the moment he chose to show us who he truly is? Or the moment he quietly began to say goodbye to everything we thought he was?